Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, great. If you can see me, my apologies. Okay. Thank you for coming. And I start off a lot of seminars this way, but I want to give you a genuine thanks. I know that time is very valuable. Time is a very limited commodity. So I respect and appreciate that you've taken some of your time to hopefully pick up something worthwhile here today. So again, thank you. I appreciate it. My name is DeMeo, if you hadn't guessed. I'm going to lead us through today. We're also going to do things a little differently than we've ever done before. So this is the first time ever. You're a very special audience, okay? Kelli Hoffman is going to come from the back of the house to the front of the camera, and she's going to do some of this presentation with me today. So I feel very honored. Kelli, thank you. We're looking forward to it. And again, Kelli is very quietly one of the leading experts in the industry. So I, for one, I'm happy to get to see her firsthand with the knowledge. I think you'll be excited and happy as well. Today, we're going to talk about SEO. And when we talk about SEO, if I can ask, what comes to mind? Like when someone says, oh, we're going to do SEO for you, what do you think? Does anyone want to jump in? Peter, I'm sorry.
Making sure you have the right keywords in the right places for people to find you.
Good, sir.
End up on page one.
End up on page one. Anything else? Streamlining standardization. Anything else? We're not going to talk about any of that stuff. No, just kidding. That'll be part of what we talk about. Before we jump in firsthand, I'm going to ask everyone very quickly just to stand up and say who you are and what company you're with. And again, this isn't a time for a 60-second commercial. Do the math. We'll be here too long. But very quickly, can we start with you, Don?
Don Chase, New Concept Technology.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Peter Taraborelli, Stoner Incorporated.
Peter's about to be a brand new dad, too. His wife could go into labor anytime. I told her to come here. It would have been exciting if we could have done that here. Okay, Pam?
Children's Dyslexia Center of Lancaster.
Great.
Norm Malkowski with Quality Metalworks in E-Town.
Thank you. Sir?
Eric Kettle, I'm with Compass Mark.
Wrestler, Doug's Tree Service.
Okay.
Ken Rissinger from Commonwealth Fires.
Okay.
Melanie Cabanelli, Building Industry Association of Lancaster.
Thank you.
Leslie Reyes, Manufacturing and Home Care. I'm Kelli Hoffman, I'm the Marketing Manager at EZMarketing. I'm Danielle Black, I'm the Marketing Coordinator for EZMarketing. Stephanie Longy, I am an Account Manager for Publishing.
And gentlemen that just walked in, I don't want to single you out or anything. And sir, you are?
Cassidy from Online Publishers.
Nice to see you, Cassidy. And working the floor right now is, here she is, Dawn Umstead.
Morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Dawn Upstead. I'm Account Manager at EZMarketing.
Great. And again, thank you for coming. Again, we're going to talk about no BS strategies. There's a lot of BS associated with SEO, okay? We're also going to have some warnings throughout. When it's going to be a BS alert, we're going to let you know. Here's the thing. SEO can be complicated. SEO can appear daunting. SEO has turned people into jelly, okay? The bottom line is we don't expect you to be an expert when you leave today. What we do want to teach you is just help make it a little bit better, make it a little bit easier for you to understand, and let's look at it from the perspective of what questions should I be asking? What should I be looking for? What's the overall main concept? If we accomplish those things, we've done a couple good things today, okay? Jumping in. Again, my name is DeMeo. I lead marketing and business development teams at EZMarketing. Kelli Hoffman is our marketing manager, and she is the master of PowerPoints. Couple of housekeeping items. Everyone should have a packet. Does everyone have a packet? Everyone will have access to a clipboard today. We had some comments from people saying, boy, I wish I had a clipboard to write on, so I do have them available. If you don't have one and want one, raise your hand, we'll get you one. We're going to have a door prize, so hopefully everyone's entered a drawing to win a Yeti Mugster, something like that. Cool, thank you. And we are recording this, And we will provide slides afterwards, and we will post this on the website. So if you miss anything, number one, there's a note sheet in your packet. There's takeaway sheets, and we will have this available. And either go on the website and take a look or shoot us an email. We'll send it to you as fast as we can. The only thing we ask for that is please make sure we have your email address so we can send it to you. We're good, we're not that good. So quickly, Easy Solution is our parent company. We have two divisions. There's EZMarketing, which is obviously our marketing division. We have 28 members of our marketing team. We work in different areas, and the idea is we work collaboratively with people with different skills, because what we found is that collectively we're a lot smarter than any one of us individually. We also believe you can't be good at everything. The idea is we have people that are experts in different areas, so we spread the wealth, we spread the talent around within our own company. And then we have Easy Computer Solutions. The idea is that's our IT division. It keeps networks up and running. What are we going to talk about today? What is SEO and why it's important? We're going to talk about the evolution of search. Good morning, sir.
Hello.
We're going to talk about the things that you need in order to do SEO, and more importantly, how to do SEO well. There are lots and lots of people that do SEO. In my opinion, I've seen over the years, there's not a lot of people that do SEO well or do SEO where it's productive. We're also going to talk about the foundations of an SEO strategy. You can't just jump in and do SEO. Let's make a plan. Let's have goals and objectives. Let's make sure we're accomplishing our goals. Let's make sure we stick to what really works. And how to track and measure. We're also going to talk about some of the BS and myths associated with SEO. And forgive me if I drink a little bit while we do this. My mouth does get dry. There's a reason for that. Kelly, what is it? I talk too much, right? Very simply put, what is SEO? It's the practice of increasing organic, and organic obviously means non-paid traffic from search engine results. It's basically getting noticed on the web. It's getting Google to say, hey, if you want information on this or you're looking to solve your question, this is where you want to go. The idea is you want to convince search engines that you have the best and the most relevant answer to your audience's questions. It's just that simple. Now, there's complicated formulas to get there. Google is very tricky, but the bottom line is it's basically saying that if you're looking for this, I've got the best answer for you. I am the solution to what you're looking for. And everything you do when you're talking about SEO is convincing search engines. And who is the biggest search engine of them all? Google. Google makes the rules. Okay, you don't have to like Google, but you have to play by Google's rules. We're making sure we do what makes Google happy. And what makes Google happy? Making people happy. Google is in the customer satisfaction business bigger than anyone else has ever been in the world. Google wants to solve problems for you when you're searching. BS alert. SEO is just Google Ads. We talk to people every day that say, oh yeah, I'm doing SEO. And they're really doing pay-per-click or Google Ads. Pay-per-click or Google Ads does help get people to you, but it's not SEO. It's basically buying specific phrases, specific keywords, and saying if someone fills this in and clicks on it, they come to you. It's a good strategy, it works, it's important, but it is not SEO, just to be clear. Okay? So SEO is non-paid. Google Ads is paid, pay-per-click. And Google Ads get people to your site. They don't help you rank organically. Just briefly, if I recommend someone to you and I do it out of the goodness of my heart, does that carry a lot of weight? If I recommend someone to you and I'm paid to do it, does that carry as much weight? Doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's inappropriate, but one is it came because it made the most sense. The other is because you paid for it. That's the difference. People also say SEO isn't necessary. If I build a good site, everyone will come. There was a time that may have been true. If you go back to the good old days, back in, who was in business here in the year 2000? Who had a website back then? Cutting edge technology. all right? Back then, and we talked about how crazy it was. Back then we said, look, there's 17 million websites out there. How many are there today? 1.6 billion. How many are being built right now? How do you set yourself apart in a sea of 1.6 billion people vying for the same markets? Okay? You've got to have SEO. It's not enough to say, if I build it, they will come. Now, there's exceptions to that. But if is anyone in here in a competitive industry at all? You need SEO. Yeah, Kelly's raising her hand. Yeah, we are too. You need SEO, or it's not going to work. Or be happy with what you get. If you're content with what you're getting right now, you don't need anything. If you want to grow the market, or if you want to stay where you are, stay on top, you've got to do a form of SEO. You have to. Misconception, and you hear this a lot, SEO is snake oil. Yeah, there are spammy companies out there. Yeah, there are people that have given SEO a bad reputation. But that doesn't mean it's not a good practice. It just means that there's a lot of people that do bad things, or things that they think they're doing well, they're not doing well. Is anyone in here in an industry that there can be competition that gives the industry a black eye? It's like that with SEO as well, okay? But it's not snake oil. Yes, there's spammy services. Yes, the ranking factors and algorithms are complex. Google has how many different ways to make a search complete? Anyone have any idea? Over 200. Danielle knows, right? Over 200 ways. They use, and this is all done in microseconds, okay? So it's complicated. But anyone can understand the basics of good SEO strategy. Just because it's complicated doesn't mean you can't break it down and make it easy. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It works the same way here. And having a basic understanding of how to attack it. Why is it important? Google alone, just Google, gets 63,000 searches every second. 63,000. 89% of customers begin their buying process with a search engine. Think about the last purchase you made, whether it be relatively small or relatively major. Raise your hand, please, if search was one part or one component of that. Bought a car fairly recently. I spent a lot of time shopping online. In the old days, I would have spent a lot of time kicking tires, walking car lots. Now I narrowed it down and I went into lots and I was going to drive specific cars. The world is changing. Everyone's changing along with it. And lastly, SEO provides 20 times more traffic opportunity than a paid search. Again, pay-per-click has a role. SEO has a bigger role. Why? Because it's a more trusted source overall. Because again, you're being sent somewhere through SEO because Google says it makes sense to send you here, not because you paid money to be here. Search has changed a little bit over the years, okay? In the old days, and I say the old days, was only, I'll say a decade or two. I'll show how old I am. Only a mere decade or two, okay? But even though it's been part of our business lives forever, it is relatively new technology, okay? Some of us remember a time when it wasn't around. We did things a little differently. Not me, but some of you guys remember that, okay? Back in the old days, Peter, we were talking about this. Peter, he's Italian. If he can't cook with carbs, he doesn't know what to do. I understand, brother. Here, you know. Back in the old days 15 years ago, if you wanted to find a great Italian restaurant, you had to be very, very, very specific. You had to type in best Italian restaurants, plus I want a good one, plus I want 5-star ratings, plus where do I want to eat? If I'm looking to have dinner tonight, am I looking for South Carolina, or probably I want to come here somewhere in Lancaster County? So I had to specify Lancaster, PA. 5 years ago, we thought, wow, this is really cutting edge. We're going to narrow this down. I could just type in best Italian restaurants, and I had to type in near me. Nowadays, I just type in best Italian. What's changed more than anything else? Anybody? What's changed primarily in this?
The internet knows where you are.
Internet knows where you are, very true. They're tracking you. What else? I'm sorry?
I don't know a lot about it. Maybe
You're exactly right. They start to figure you out. They're paying attention, and they're saying, when Chris types this in, it's Chris DeMeo. You know he wants to eat, so we're going to talk about sending him to a place to eat. The internet's paying attention. Google's paying attention. They're starting to do what's called semantics. They figure it out. They assume certain things based on what? Based on my search tendencies, my buying tendencies. If you want to look at the future, it's going to get more and more into that, where these robots, the search engines, AI, starts to figure you out, starts to anticipate what it is you're looking for, okay? That has to be factored into your SEO. Back then, and we talked about this a little bit, okay? Back in the old days, when you did a search and it was all about, I've got to rank #1 on Google. And is that important? It definitely helps. Is it the most important thing in the world right now? Not necessarily. Because what are you ranking for? Back in the old days, you had a choice. You got these blue bars. And if you did a search and you wanted information, you were referred to this and you picked one of these blue bars. What's more important than ranking #1 nowadays? It's called position 0. You're not in the blue bars, but you're over here. You're in maps. You're in knowledge graphs. You're in things called snippets, okay? And it's basically, what is Google's main function? To solve your query, to answer your question, to solve a problem. Nowadays, what they're saying is, you may not even have to go over here. I may answer all your questions right here. Where does this content come from? Your websites. Does it always pick from #1? Not always. Oftentimes, it does pick in the top couple searches, but not always. It's still pulling the most relevant information, which is why you're going to hear us say many, many times, what's one of the biggest components of SEO? Great content. You, bless you. You answering the questions, you having what people are looking for. That's where a lot of that comes from. What else is important? That Google knows your location, that Google knows your address, that Google knows what you specialize in, that Google knows what you're an expert in, that Google knows you're supplying great information to solve the problems and questions of my customers. And guys, if I'm saying anything that's not clear or you have questions, please, you can jump in, okay? Don't ask me anything too hard, because, well, I have Kelly, I'm not worried. Okay. Then versus now. Again, when we first started working on websites, when we first started doing SEO, most people did their searches where? At home, on their desktop, at their computer. Where are a majority, I'd say at least half searches are done where nowadays? Right. And where are you when you're on your phone? Anywhere in the world, okay? So back in the old days, everything was desktop. Now a lot of it is mobile, tablet. You're on the move, okay? Search results depend on where you are and on what device you're using. And we've talked about this before. And you don't have to be brave enough. But does anyone have a website that is not considered mobile friendly or responsive? Okay. It's time to get one. In fact, it's way, way, way past time to get one that is. Because if you're searching on your phone, and you may be the best source of information, you may be exactly what the customer's looking for, but your site is not mobile friendly, will you be directed to that site? Most likely not. Why? Because Google is concerned with a good user experience, and what they're going to find is, if I send someone to a site when they're searching on their phone and it's not mobile friendly, they're going to be aggravated, they're going to be frustrated, they're not going to be able to find the information easily. So what device you're on is very important, and that's why we stress heavily, you've got to have a responsive site if you want to be found. And more than half of Google searches are now on mobile devices, and what's the biggest thing going now? Voice. We're getting too used, or too lazy, or too sophisticated, or too privileged to even type. How many of you use voice as much as you can? I am a big component of it. I just bought my new car and everything's Bluetooth, and I just ask for everything, and it reads me my messages, it reads me my emails, and I've never been so happy and sad at the same time. But voice is the big, I won't say the big future. Voice is here, and voice is growing, and voice plays a big component of SEO and searches and experience, so continue to think about that as you're doing your SEO. Warning about BS. Yes?
Why would voice SEO be the same as word SEO? The same.
Great question. The question is, why wouldn't it be the same? Because oftentimes you don't write exactly as you speak. So when you're looking at voice searches, it may be a little different. Like I may just say, hey Siri, I didn't know if I messed it. I did that last time, and I was talking to someone and said, man, when you did that, that was brilliant. I'm going, oh yeah, it was. Yeah. You may ask the question a little bit differently than you would type it in.
Conjunctions don't matter. You said hey, and, they, are, but, to, for, so.
And you type, you're going to pick that up more with voice than you would with typing it in. Sir, you had a comment to that? Was
Yeah, no, I'm just going to say, just what you were going to say, because when you look at actually what you write versus what you speak, it's generally pretty different.
right,
The intent is the same.
right. And some people write exactly as they speak. Some people it's a little bit different. Google looks at it a little bit differently, and it picks up on different things that it may or may not. You may or may not search that way when you're typing. But more and more, it's getting to be how you speak. It's getting to be conversational. It's getting to be intuitive. You know, I won't get into conspiracy theories, but who thinks that Alexa and Siri are always listening to them? I do too. It's just too coincidental, too amazing. And look at, if you talk about the future, think about how marketing will be different 10 years from now. Everything will be individualized to you. And that's a little scary, but think about how great it is too. What is it going to eliminate? A lot of background noise, a lot of crap I don't need. It's only going to talk to me about what I'm looking for. I'm only going to be presented with things that I find interesting. So ranking is important, but it's not what it's all about, because it's more about getting in that position 0, and it's more about getting in there. And don't get so caught up on, I'm ranking number 1. You're ranking number 1 for what? Make sure you're ranking number 1 for the right things, the things that your audience is interested in, and that it directs the correct audience to you. And keyword rankings sometimes can be inaccurate. You can skew numbers a lot of different ways that way. If someone two things. If someone calls you up and says they're Google, are they Google? No. Google's like the IRS. They will not call you. The second thing is, if someone says, I guarantee you're going to rank number 1 in my system because I'm a genius and I figured it out, crap. It's not true. No one can guarantee you placement. They can guarantee that they'll do a lot of things to help you get there, but they can't guarantee you'll be number 1. They don't control that. What do you need for good SEO? People ask that all the time. Well, what do I need? Number 1, you've got to have a great website. I say this to people every day. People come to me and they're saying, look, I know my website's awful, but I really need SEO because I need to rank. If your website stinks and you invest in SEO, you probably will see some success. You probably will make things better than they are now, but you're not optimizing your dollars spent. We will almost always recommend get your website in order first. Get yourself, and my recommendation is always the same. Get the website, you get the best website, I always say it, get the best website you can afford to have. Sir?
Yeah, I have a question about the ranking. Like, I last did SEO like a while ago, like 10 years ago. I'm trying to
Oh, wow.
And like then it was just like the marketing director was just like, oh, we rank here for there. But you talk more about the different types of rankings?
Yes, the different types of rankings could be, number 1, I talked about the information boxes, so you can rank with snippets. Okay. You can rank with information boxes. Okay. You can rank with Google Maps, so you can rank for locations.
Okay.
That's what I mean by that.
Different components of the page,
Right.
type of search in.
And I'm going to talk about it in a minute too, like, and I'll use the example of SEO. Do I want to rank number one for just SEO? Maybe. But if I do, it could be that I'm ranking and I'm getting a lot of inquiries for what is SEO or different components of it instead of I help businesses with SEO, which would be something better to rank for. So you want to be careful what you're ranking for, making sure it's something that you really want to do. Do you want to be just someone who sends out pamphlets, or do you want to be someone who's fielding calls for people interested in buying your services? So that's what I mean. Did that help at all? Yeah. Just be careful. Ranking number one isn't everything, isn't all things to all people. Make sure you're ranking for what's appropriate and for what's making you money. So websites should be well designed. Websites should function properly. Websites should be easy to find information. Websites should provide a great user experience. People should be able to navigate your website easily, and your website should tell the appropriate story for you to your target customers. Good content. We're going to talk about this a lot. Content, we used to say content is king, all right, meaning content was all-knowing, all-powerful. Now we say content is not just king, content is the emperor of the universe. You've got to have great content. Why? Because what are search engines looking for? Answers. No, great. Absolutely. Answers. Great content. Information, education, entertainment. You're the person that can solve the problem. You're the person that has what we're looking for. And without great content, no one can be sent to your site. So, good content provides answers, solutions, and it's what your audience is searching for. And where do you put this content, or where is good content found? It's on your website. It's in blogs. It's in your images. It's in videos. Content comes in many forms. We talked to, who was at the social media seminar? Great. You guys came back. I'm impressed. We talked about how powerful video is, how important it is, how only 9% of businesses are using video. And it's a huge ranking factor with Google and with social media. Think about this. If you could just say, gosh, if I could just get a little bit of a competitive edge on my competition, how about if you just added video? That's one thing you can do right away to make a big edge. Number 3, social media helps. We talk to a lot of business owners and different business people, and they kind of poo-poo social media. And poo-poo is, we've determined, a marketing term, all right? It means think adversely of. And bottom line is, does social media make you rank? No. But social media provides content and directs people to where? Your website. Social media helps tell the story. Social media gives you an avenue in which you can display your content. Okay, so social media, use it to promote your content and get more traffic and links, because one of the other things we're going to talk about, links. Links are votes for your websites. Links are validation point to your website. Social media helps you get good content sent to you and links. Very important. Who's doing social media in here for their business? Great. I won't say don't listen. Don't listen to your boss no matter what. No, if someone is telling you social media, you don't understand, Chris. People don't go to social media to buy my product. Yes, that's true. But what do people go to social media for? 2 things. Education, entertainment. It's informational entertainment. You can supply that on social media. It'll help boost your credibility. It'll help build your links back to your website. SEO strategy. How do you build a strategy for SEO? If you guys are saying, look, I'm going to start, Chris, we're going to start SEO. One of a couple ways to do it. Way number 1 is do it yourself and do it to the best of your ability. Way number 2 is you hire a company to do it. As an example, EZMarketing. All right? You hire someone to do it because you've got a full-time job doing other things. Marketing for your company is something you do when there's nothing else to do. And let me ask you a question. How often is there nothing else to do? Pam's laughing. She's thinking, I'm just so happy to sit here for 5 minutes and nobody's bugging me, okay? So how do you start? Start with understanding. All strategies begin with understanding. I'm going to say this. Every once in a while, just take a minute and think about understanding your clients, what their needs are, and ask yourself, am I putting my information forward in a way that helps my clients or lets my clients know that I'm the person that can help them? So start with understanding. Know your customers and your business. Who's your audience? Who is the ideal target customer? We've done seminars before where we talked about building a marketing strategy. We always start with that. And when we talk about your ideal customer, not just someone you'll take, like we'll take different clients, but who is it that you really want to go after? Who is it that you say, oh my gosh, I love working with these people. Oh my gosh, if I could just get 4 or 5 more clients like this, life would be so good. That's your audience. That's who you want to target, and that's who you want to make sure you understand. What are their pain points? Who are you to them? And how do you solve their problems? Is what you're saying put forth in a way that helps them understand who you are and that you can help them? And again, keywords. Keywords are important to SEO. Keywords are a foundation of SEO, but they're not what it's all about. In the old days it was. In the old days we used to do keyword stuffing. Does everyone know what that is? We'd write a paragraph, and if it was manufacturing, we'd list this is a manufacturing company found in the manufacturing town of York, where the manufacturing capital of the world is, and we used to think, well, you could trick Google this way. And it worked for a little while. What happens if you try and do that today? Does anyone know? They lower your ranking, and in some cases put you in the penalty box, and they'll say, we're not sending anybody to you because we don't trust you because you're full of crap. You're not trying to provide the best answers. You're just trying to line your pockets, and you're trying to trick us, and we don't like to be tricked because we're Google. Okay? Don't do that. It's bad. And keywords are the compass, okay, that sets a direction for your SEO. Yes, keywords are important, but where do you use keywords? In relevant, impactful, helpful content. Not just shoved in there. Sure.
So in metadata and descriptions of products, it would be better, you're saying, to have more conversational style, describe the product, maybe use some keywords in there, but like as you say, not stuff it full.
Right. The question was in using meta information, and we're going to talk about that. So good question, and we're going to talk about how to do it properly and how to do it so it's descriptive, helpful, and think of it as like a headline or a cliff note for your page. And Kelly's actually going to walk us through that in a couple minutes. So great question, and I think it'll be more clear in about 5 minutes. Great question, though. Thank you. How to find keywords? First off, build a list of topics. Okay, find out what are you looking for in keywords? What are your customers searching for? What keeps them up at night? And ideally, these are things that you can help, you can solve with. Where to find them? You can go to Google Autocomplete. So you start typing things in, and then Google finishes the sentence for you. There's sites like answerthepublic.com, competitorresearch.com, so you can see what keywords your competitors are using, see how they're ranking. And then you kind of refine, do a little research, refine them. 2 tools to do that. 2 of them are free, 2 of them cost money. Google Keyword Planner, Uber Suggest are free. And again, guys, we'll supply you all this. And then SEMrush is a paid search, one we use. And I get made fun of when I say this because I say Ahrefs. It's Ahrefs. Or is it Ahrefs, Kelly? It's Ahrefs. I knew I was going to be made fun of regardless, so I just went with it. All right, so Ahrefs, that's another good one that we use. You don't have to say it correctly to use it, but it's a paid tool. Okay. When you talk about search and you talk about keywords and you talk about SEO, you have to know the intent of the people doing the search. Think about how when you're doing a search, you want to figure out a couple things. You either want to know something, right? You want to do something, you want to go somewhere, or you want to buy something, okay? So know, you're looking for information. Know would be a question on everyone's mind, who's the strongest Avenger, right? I need to know that. And So to find that, do that. If you want to do something like, yeah, I'm thinking about subscribing to the Avengers comic strip, that's a do search. That's transactional. If you want to go somewhere, look, I want to go to Regal Cinemas. Why? I want to go see the Avengers movie. Or I want to buy something, meaning I want to buy a ticket. Once I figure this out, I know who the strongest Avenger is. I know it's worth going to see them because, I want to see the strongest one. Then I'm looking for showtimes near me, okay? Think about the intent. Think about what your customers are looking for. Are they looking for education? Are they looking to do something? Are they looking to buy something? Are they looking to go somewhere? Think about the intent of what your customers are doing, and your SEO should answer the intent, or I shouldn't say answer, should address the intent. Focus on long-tail keywords. We talked about keywording, and you asked about specific things and what you want to rank for. Think about this. A short-tail word, a lot of searches. It's very general information, and we used SEO as an example. If we were just trying to rank, if we wanted to rank number one for SEO, there are 10,000 searches every month. That's great, and that would make me feel good maybe. I'm ranking for 10,000 searches a month. But is it making me money? Is it really what I'm looking for? If I narrow it down and I start to make it a longer tail, and longer tail means it has words attached to the keyword, like your keyword's the anchor, but there's things that help with the description of it. SEO company. Now it's down to only 1,000 plus searches a month. There's like 1,500 of those. But if I really want to narrow it down to specific people or specific audiences that I want to talk to, small business SEO services. If I'm ranking for this, it's a little more likely that I'm going to be talking to whom? Sir?
Small business.
Small business, yeah. People I want to talk to. I don't necessarily want to talk to a college professor who's looking to do research on SEO. I want to talk to someone like Pam who's saying, how do I get more people to contact me? That's what we're looking for. Does that make sense? So don't get caught up on just, I ranked number one for a word. What are you ranking number one for? And I'm not saying you're doing it wrong because you're making money with what you're doing. But it's not paramount. It's what the result is of those searches. What makes a good keyword? It's going to be relevant to your business. It has to be relevant to your audience. Don't worry about just ranking for something. Rank for something that makes sense for you and them. You want high search volume. If you're looking at good keywords, you want something that's going to create traffic. Think about that big funnel. All right, let's bring them in the funnel. We want them in the widest part, the biggest search first, then we narrow it down. Low competition. If you can rank for something that's relevant to your audience and you're the only one that figured that out, that's the best thing you can do. And then if you talk about cost per click, does it have commercial value? If someone's paying a lot for it, for Google AdWords or pay per click, is that something that you want to use organically? Probably. It means there's search volume. People are looking for it. It's something you can incorporate and you get value from it for free. On-page SEO. Here's where Kelly's going to take over and talk about on-page SEO.
All right. So, on-page SEO, just like it sounds, is when you're talking about the coding and the HTML that's actually on the pages of your website. So this is kind of the point when SEO people tend to start talking about H1s and alt tags and meta descriptions and all of this stuff. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that kind of sounds like alphabet soup rather than English. So what we're going to do is give a little HTML 101 lesson so that everybody has a basic understanding of this is what the code looks like behind the scenes, and this is what the code looks like when it's actually on the website. Who here actually knows some level of coding? Okay, so a couple people. And for everybody else, we're going to break it down, so bear with me. We're going to try to keep this nice and simple. And we're going to try to move forward. Awesome.
Not as easy as it looks, is it?
Okay, so Danielle is actually going to help me out, and she's going to be running some of the slides behind the scenes here. So first we're going to talk about title tags and meta descriptions. So your title tag is actually the thing that's going to show up at the very top of your browser screen. So it shows up in this little tab right at the top here. And in this particular case, this is one of our clients, River Valley Recreation. And this title tag is Playground Planning and Design. It kind of gets cut off, but Playground Planning and Design Services. And the way that you see this in the code, if you're in either Google Chrome as a browser or Edge as a browser, you can right-click anywhere on the screen, and you say View Page Source. And this is going to bring up all your code. And your title tag sits right here. So in code, anything that's within those little brackets tells you that that's the little code tag, and what's in between the brackets is the actual content. So here's your title tag. Then the other thing that you have that often goes along with titles is called a meta description, and that is a little further down the page. So here is meta description, and here's the content of it. So they've set a meta description that says, start here and we can help you get the inspiration you need to create the perfect playground design for your school, community park, or daycare center. So setting your title tag and your meta description, those will actually show up when somebody searches. So in your Google search, and you see that row of links come up, your title tag, and Danielle's going to do it for me, your title tag and meta description are going to show up here. Thanks, Danielle. So title tag, meta description. So these become really important for a couple of reasons. One, your title tag, Google does look at that as a ranking factor, so including relevant keywords there is really important. In your description, that is not actually a ranking factor. Your metadata, Google figured out a long time ago that people were just kind of stuffing that full of keywords, so it doesn't look at that as a ranking factor, but we as people, when we're looking at this, and if we're searching for playground equipment, if we don't see things like playgrounds, playground design, playground specialists, we're probably not going to click on that link. So it's still really important to include relevant words and things that make sense for the people reading it, because that's what's going to get them to click from Google onto your website. Moving on, we have header tags. So you'll often hear SEO folks use the terms H1s, H2s, H3s. Those are your subject headers. So in this particular case, Playground Planning and Design Services is your H1 or header 1 tag. And here you can see that in the code. Anytime you right-click on it, and you can click Inspect. And what that's going to do is it's going to pop up all of these screens, which this is super helpful if you ever want to see the code behind somebody's website. You can do this on your competitors' websites, by the way. But your H1 tag, where are we here? There it is. So H1, Playground Planning and Design Services. So that's where that sits. Scroll a little further down the page for me, Danielle. And this is your second level header, and this is your third level header. So what you want to do is, as you're creating your page, you want to make sure that you break up your text with headers. Not only does that help your readers scan the page more easily, but it also gives Google an idea of this these are the subjects that you're covering in that page, and this is what's important about your page. All right, next, the body copy. So, yes, sir.
This H1, is that a reference to the HTML code? Like, do you assign the H1 on the back end?
Yes.
Okay, so is that our process is identified by an H2 code?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this is identified by an H. This is identified by H3.
Are you saying you can go into your HTML code and change that information?
Yes.
And can you do that as a non-programmer?
Yes. So depending on how your website is set up, a lot of websites are set up on a friendly platform, for example, WordPress. So we design a lot of sites on a WordPress platform, and you can log into the back end of a website, and it'll give you an easy non-code way to say, okay, here's a title, and now you can type in below that, and that's just your regular paragraph type of copy, and you can set what the title is on that page, you can set a meta description on that page, and you can do all of that without actually seeing or ever looking at the code. It's just helpful sometimes when SEO people start talking about all this coding stuff to know what they mean when they start talking about H1s and all of this.
Can I ask from a non-programmer standpoint? So I could go into my HTML code, I could highlight it, what I wanted to change, and then just type over it, and it'll save it.
You're going to want to go into the back end of your website to do that. So changing anything in the coding on the side that we just showed you isn't actually going to save the changes. But if you ever want to test and play around with it, you could absolutely do that. So I won't do it right now, but if we went in and clicked inspect and changed this tag from an H2 to an H1, it would switch it visually on the screen. It just wouldn't save that change. You would go into the back end of your website to do that.
Otherwise, people can sabotage your website.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Next was paragraph copy. So this is the regular body copy on your website. Again, it's kind of the most normal part of your website. Important to include keywords naturally throughout your copy as well. But if we inspect that, you're going to see little paragraph tags, and P stands for paragraph, and that's your body copy. Danielle, if we could scroll just a little further down the page, I think. Okay, and then on the page you have hyperlinks. So hyperlinks are links from any page on your website to another page. It could be a page that's still within your website or a page to an external website. And the important thing about links is you can change any piece of text into a link, and the text that you use on the page to do that is called anchor text. So this link, you could set anything that you want to be the anchor text. So when you're trying to create links, and especially from a ranking perspective, having some varied types of anchor text helps Google know a little bit about what that link is about and why it's important. So, for example, accessibility features, they could put in that link playground accessibility features, and they could link to a page that was called accessibility. Does that kind of make sense? And last but not least, we have images. So Google can't actually read images. Google reads text. So what you need to do from an SEO perspective is tell Google what's in your images. So this nice picture of this little girl, we can see that it's a little girl playing in a tunnel. But in order to tell Google that it's a little girl playing in a tunnel, we have what's called alt text. And so here's the code for it. Here's image. It's going to tell you the source, which is where this image is saved on the internet. And then The alt text is girl climbing through playground tunnel. And that's a great opportunity to include a couple keywords kind of in the back end that Google's going to see, but your customers aren't. All right, I think that we can swap back into the presentation now. Question?
I've noticed that with websites in general, it seems like there's more and more. It used to be that you were doing like huge navigation trees with like drop downs and all this stuff, and a little bit of content on each page. It seems like now websites are doing fewer pages but more content on the page. Is there benefits to that from a search standpoint?
Sure. So there are a couple different ways that you can do it, and I won't say that there's just one right way to arrange your pages. We're going to get to a little bit of navigational stuff in a minute, but certainly you want to make sure that you have enough content on your page to optimize. Sometimes what we discover is that people have pages that only have a couple hundred words on them, and when you have 200 or 300 words, that's 2 paragraphs, and there's not a whole lot there to optimize. You're not giving Google a whole lot to go off of there. So having a little bit more content on some of your pages, especially those pages that are really the key or the center pillars of your website, that can be really helpful to extend the content on your main pages.
Someone told me that if I put 500 words in my detail, I'll move up in the ranking. Is that
Look,
true before?
500 words on the page or 500 words in the back end?
500 words on the page.
Generally, it's good to have at least point. Again, guaranteeing that you're going to rank, that you're going to increase your ranking just because you're putting more words on the page, not necessarily. But a longer page, you do have more opportunities to optimize. So right now, the top ranking pages on Google, so take any keyword, they did a study, the top ranking pages in the #1 position have an average of 1,980 words, I believe it is. Sir?
The product's interesting, so I was scanning your cell phone the other day, and it's kind of like a lower end cell phone, I was just playing with it, so it was able to recognize my glasses and find them on Google. So how does that play into, or that's something else altogether?
So it's doing like facial recognition?
Yeah, facial recognition. I was just playing with it, and it recognized these type of brow line glasses, and it came up with a Google search with like a, it's like you might also like these items and stuff. So I don't know, it was weird.
That's super impressive. So that might be a separate issue with between facial recognition and something going on with the glasses themselves.
I think that's called like Google Glass, isn't it? When you can take a picture of like a butterfly in the Google Glass setting on your phone, and then it recognizes what the image is or what type of tree it is. There's like a setting on the main screen, I think it's called Google Glass.
Yeah, I mean, our technology is getting smarter and smarter. It's getting to the point where, yes, your technology is starting to learn who you are, what you like to do, what products you've bought before, what things that you might be interested based on where you've been, where you might go. So when it comes to search engine optimization, it can get very complicated, right? But what we're trying to do is make sure that we've got some of the basics in place, which are making sure that your website is speaking to your customers and that your website is answering those questions that they have. And that's really the basis and the first step. Because if you don't have that in place, you can have a million technologies that are able to do all these cool things, but if you don't have the baselines in place, all of those extra technologies aren't going to make the difference for your business. All right, so we went through all of our HTML. And now we want to get on to making sure that all of those elements that we just talked about, your headers, your meta descriptions, your body copy, your images, that those are all optimized for search. And that means that you're including those keywords that you had researched naturally into your copy, and you're avoiding stuffing them in there. A couple best practices: make sure that people want to click those titles and meta descriptions. Keep them from going too long. So if you have them titles that are longer than 50 to 60 characters, or meta descriptions that are longer than about 130, Google will likely cut those off on the search results page. And only have one header one per page, because each page should only have one major topic that you're talking about. We already mentioned this a little bit, but just to reiterate, because it's super important, Google can't read your images, so you need to tell Google what's in your images. So this particular one, Kermit with upside down book, distressed by illiteracy. You can tell we have a little alt tag here that says this is what this image is about. Another really important thing for SEO is make sure that you're compressing the images on your site. So almost every single site that we have ever run an audit on has really big images. And what that means is it slows down the load speed, especially if you're looking on a mobile device. Because if you have a really big image, your mobile device doesn't load things quite as quickly as it might on your desktop computer, and that just slows down the page and makes people want to jump off. Next, using readable URLs. So the URL is the website address for your website. And making these readable and making people know what to expect when they click helps people feel confident that they know what they're going to get. So a bad example, hub07.ezmarketing.com, and then a whole bunch of numbers and letters and stuff. Does anybody have any idea what that page is about? No, right? A little bit better. Okay, we have EZMarketing.com/blog, and it says at the end, good titles and metas. Okay, so maybe that page has something to do with titles and meta descriptions. Looking at the last one, blog.ezmarketing.com/write good title tags and meta descriptions. Anybody want to guess what that page is about? Right? All right, now here's where we get to the site structure. So what you want to do is you want to create a logical tree and structure for your website. And you want to organize that around the key topics that you want to be known for. So we as a marketing agency, for example, we want to be known for 3 major things: websites, marketing, and SEO. So if you go to our website, our site is arranged around those 3 topics. Those are in our main navigation, and then we have a whole bunch of subpages that all feed back up into those main pages. And we add links from each of the subpages that will take you back to each of the main pages of that category. And what that's going to do from a search engine perspective is that's going to let Google know, okay, you have 6, 8, 10 pages that are all pointing back to this one page. I guess that probably means that that page is pretty important, right? So doing that will just help indicate to Google which pages are the key pages on your site. And these main pages, that's where I would focus on really increasing the length of content, having those pages be really robust. Finally, a lot of technical SEO BS. So here's your BS alert again. These are a lot of things that people will tend to say about on-page and technical SEO that are just not true. I don't need to worry about optimizing for mobile. As we said earlier, over half of searches actually come from mobile devices now. So if you're not optimizing for mobile, you are absolutely missing out on valuable traffic to your website. I don't need to check for broken links on my website. Again, almost every single website that we have ever checked has broken links on it. And every time that somebody comes to your website and hits a broken link, it interrupts their experience, and it tells Google that you're not keeping up with your website and that there are issues that are causing people to jump off of your website. Speed isn't that important. this is probably the biggest falsehood in this whole presentation. Speed is potentially one of the most important factors for people staying on your website. Believe it or not, if your site even takes 5 to 6 seconds to load, you're almost doubling the chance that somebody's going to immediately jump off of it. So having a fast loading website is very, very important. Having an HTTPS site is only important for e-commerce. So HTTPS, anybody know what that is? Secure site, you got it. So you'll see HTTPS and that little lock icon in the upper left-hand corner of the website browser, and that shows that you have a secure site. And once upon a time, people said, well, that's only important if you're collecting credit card information or if you're selling stuff online. Nowadays, people are actually going to be really hesitant to fill out a form to give you any sort of personal information if you don't have that little lock icon there. And it is a ranking factor. Is it the most important? No, but all things being equal, if Google has an HTTP site and an HTTPS site, which one do you think they're going to choose? Finally, I don't know what schema is, so it can't be that important. So schema is a special type of coding language that is designed to talk to search engine robots. It's also called structured data. So a good way to understand what schema is, a recipe website often uses schema or structured data. And what they'll do is they'll break down the information into little tiny bits so that Google can understand it better. So they will say cook time is 4 hours and prep time is 30 minutes. And the ingredients are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the steps are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So Google can now understand this whole page of information in these little bits and pieces. And what that does, it's especially good for voice search, because if somebody says, hey Google, what are the steps to make lasagna? Google will actually read them off to you one at a time because you've structured your data that way. Google would tell us right now how to make lasagna if we asked. Yeah.
You say optimizing for mobile. Other than compressing images, is there anything else that you need to do to optimize for that?
Yeah, so first of all, having your website be responsive is the first step. And what responsive means is it responds to the size of the device. So if somebody's viewing it on a big screen like a desktop, that information will actually shrink down to fit on a mobile device screen. So that's step number one. There are a couple of other things. Again, speed, super important on mobile devices because they tend to load slower. There are multiple other things that you can do to improve mobile performance, but I would say that the responsive website design is number one, and speed is probably number two. All right, and now we are on to off-page, which I will turn back over.
Okay, so off-page. Who wants to take a shot at what is off-page SEO? Essentially anything that's not on your website. Anything that helps direct people to your website or anything that gives you credibility towards your website or refers to your website. So it's content, it's social media, it's anything that's pushing people in that direction. Okay? We use the metaphor of a party. Okay? If Chris is having a party and I'm telling everyone it's my party and it's going to be the greatest thing ever, you may or may not agree or think Chris has got something going. But if suddenly Don is saying, hey, you got to go to Chris's party, it's the greatest party in the world. And then Kelly says that. And then Mel says that. And 4 or 5 people. And then there's an article in the paper about Chris's party. And then it's, my gosh, it was on the news. It's the greatest party ever. And everyone's putting in their social media feeds. Chris's party, you've got to be there. Suddenly, how much more credibility is there? How much more trust is there on your part that Chris's party is going to be the greatest party ever? And how would you feel if you didn't get invited to that party? Okay? It's going to be Thursday, and it's going to be right here. You guys are all invited. You're the guest of honor, okay? So part of what that does, it helps to build backlinks. And backlinks, we talked about, are votes. It's validation. It's someone saying, yep, this is a good source to go, or you want to go here to get the information you're looking for. And backlinks, essentially, we call them votes for your website. How do you get backlinks? Content, okay? If you tell Don that I'm going to have a great party, you've just provided him with what? Content. Content is information. You've given him what he's looking for to help get there. So content are some of the best ways to build backlinks. Backlinks and content are Google's top 2 rating factors. Okay, that's what they look for as much as anything else, more than most. Okay, what are ranking factors for backlinks? Number 1, you want to have a bunch of them. And now I say that you want to have a bunch of them from relevant, credible sources. Okay, if and I'm not trying to be politically incorrect. If a bunch of guys from prison are saying, I can't wait to go to Chris's party, is that the kind of party you want to go to? It might be fun, all right, but it may not have the most credibility. So you want number of links. You want quality links too. You want them to be from well-known authoritative sites and sources. Link diversity. It needs to be from a variety. If everyone in there, like if it's my mom and my dad and my brother and my Aunt Minnie are all saying what a great party I'm going to have, you take that with a grain of salt. But if a bunch of different people that you respect are saying, hey, that's the place to go, it has more credibility, it has more validation. And relevance, descriptive anchor text, related pages, meaning it has to be something that you're interested in. You had asked the question, if I have X amount of words on a page, will it help? If they're the right words. You know, if that's like me saying, if I get up here and I talk for 25 minutes, you guys are going to love it. What did I say for 25 minutes? How relevant was it to the topic? It's the same thing with searches, same thing with backlinks. If you're looking for people to recommend ribbons, but you're getting the Westminster dog kennel, and maybe that is good because you win blue ribbons, but if it's something unrelated, it didn't really help you. Dog collar, right. So I picked a bad analogy. How to get backlinks. People ask that all the time. Well, Chris, how do we get them? A couple different ways. Naturally, the best way to get links is to have great products. You're getting a ton of links because you've got great products. You made the comment too, well, I'm the only guy that does this, or I'm the top guy in the country doing this. That's why you're getting some good links. That's why you're getting good rankings. So have great products and great content that people link to. Why? Why did they look for it? Because they love it. Because it's great, because it made sense, they're going to continue to do it. And those links continue to build credibility. There's also self-created links. We actually have a department where we have people that try and build links for us. We have people that do outreach and try and get different content published for our clients. That's a big part of what we do. We're saying, look, Mr. Website about cheese, we've got a client who wrote a great article on cheese, and your readers or your people following you may love this. So don't be afraid to ask for it. And how do you do it? You submit your content. You ask them, hey, is it okay if I post this? Hey, here's some good information. This may be relevant to your audience. Online directories, forums, we do press releases for people, trying to get that picked up through different media outlets and different websites. And then there's manual link building. That's where we form relationships with industry influencers and ask them to connect to us. If you're a member of a trade association, that may be a good source. If you're going to a trade show, if you're doing guest posts and you're considered an expert or a speaker and you want to put content, ask them to build the links between you and them.
Does customer endorsements fit here?
It actually fits into manual links. It depends. It's a review link, which is something different. Kelly, how would we categorize a review link? Yeah, all relevant, and we're actually going to go to a slide on that too. Customer reviews are important. And again, if I talk about how great my company is, you take it with a grain of salt. If one of my customers is telling me how great it is, it means a lot more. And if If you connect from a customer site to your site or a review site to your site, it does carry weight. Outreach and influencer marketing, okay? Who does your audience listen to? I used the analogy when we talked about social media. I have a soon-to-be tomorrow 14-year-old daughter who buys things from James Charles. It's like he's a makeup guru and he has this color palette. She follows him. She looks for what he's doing. So good links for other makeup sites is they follow James Charles. What does he say? What does he recommend? What does he say looks great? It carries weight. And you build beneficial relationships by reading, commenting, promoting their content. Because by association, if you're associated with, with someone who's great at makeup and you're a makeup site, it helps build credibility. You want to have guest posts, or you want to be a guest poster on different websites, and finding broken links. You want to make sure that you're cleaning up links and pointing out to other people where there's broken links. You can help. And ask them to share content when it's relevant. We do that all the time. Hey, we have some great content. We think it'd be helpful. Would you mind putting it on your site? And would you put it out to your people? It all helps build credibility. It helps build votes for our clients and for our own websites. Another fallacy, another BSity, okay? Social media doesn't matter for SEO. It doesn't go to your organic components, but it matters. There's a strong correlation between activity on social media and SEO performance. What does social media do? It helps grow your audience. It helps get more web traffic. If people are going from Facebook to your site, if people are going from LinkedIn to your site, it helps with your relevance. It helps you get more views, shares, and it helps create links for your content. So again, what's important for SEO? All the different components. Your social media matters. Don't let someone tell you it's irrelevant or it doesn't matter. And no, people aren't buying because they saw an article on Facebook, but it helps get people to your site where they may be put into the buying arena. Local SEO. How many people do business locally? Raise your hands. How important is it to have good local SEO? Where does SEO start? And we're going to talk about some foundational SEO. Okay, and I asked that question a little too soon. I'll tell you, it starts with credibility. If I'm going to recommend somebody, what do I need to know? Who are you? What do you do? Can you handle what I'm looking for? We're going to talk about that in a second. 46% of Google searches are local. You want nearby customers to be able to find you online. How do you do it? You need to, and Kelly touched on this too, you want to build trust with search engines. How do search engines know to trust you? They need to know who you are, what you're all about, and then you are where you are who you are what you are, and you are where you say you are. How do you do that? Through Google My Business, accurate and complete local directory listings, and online reviews. So very important to get local components. Ken, we talked about this the other day. One of the components or the starting point or the building blocks of SEO is making sure that there's fact checks and there's accurate information. Where does Google get their information? From your website, from other search engines. How many search engines are there? Does anyone have any idea? Hundreds. I mean, we know Google, but there's hundreds. There's yellowpages.com, there's Yelp, there's Bing, there's Yahoo, there's just hundreds. Some you've heard of, some you haven't. Google still is a deciding factor, but Google does research with all these others to make a determination. Pam.
What if one of those brings up incorrect information? How do you get it fixed?
You are ruined. No, what happens is you've got to fix it. And the way to fix it, there's one of two ways, and I'm going to go to that in a second. Way number one is you start off, you go in manually. You go to the site, you take a look at what information they have on you, and you physically change it, you as the administrator, okay? But what will happen if you change that more often than not? It will be wrong again soon. I don't know why, and some of it is because a new one will come on the market, maybe not have the right information, and they all feed off each other to get information. So just because you fix it doesn't mean you fixed it forever. You've got to install, you've got to install software to make sure it stays corrected. And then you've got to go in and check it manually. It's one of the first things we do with SEO. It's a service that most companies offer. And if you're not doing this part of it, you're not doing SEO well, and it's something a lot of companies miss. A lot of companies do that and say it is SEO. It is a part of SEO. It's the foundation of SEO. So, give you an example quickly. What's wrong? Having something that says Crossroads Coffee, 215 3rd Avenue, Lancaster, PA. Another source has Coffee at the Crossroads, has a correct address. A third source has Crossroads Coffee, 781, has the wrong address. Many of you have that going on in your business right now. If someone's fact-checking you, does this fill them with confidence? It's the first step, and it's often a step that slows them down or forces Google to direct you another way. Crossroads Coffee with a phone number. What's correct is when all of the information lines up, when all of the different sources have the correct information, and then there's what they call enhanced listings where they have all the correct information and they give you a space for maybe a picture, a space for a phone number, hours of operation. To do it properly, you do enhanced listings wherever you can, and everything is done consistently. Again, that's the foundation of local SEO. Where does it come from? And we say this is the simplified version. It's a simplified version of a very complex issue. Major search engines pull information from hundreds of different directory listings. They pull information from what's called primary data aggregators. These are people that gather information. There's only 4 of them. There will soon be 3 of them. Which one's going away? Axiom is going away, so there's going to be 3. And again, you've got to have the information correct in all these. There are scans you can do. There's ways to look at it. There are plenty of companies that do this, but make sure it's not something that they do once, set it and forget it, because I guarantee it will be wrong again. And if you're not doing this, you're missing the basic tenets of SEO. And you talked about reviews. Reviews matter. 97% of consumers read online reviews for local businesses. How many of you do reviews before you go anywhere, do anything? You check out restaurants, you check out hotels, you check out different places to shop, you check out products. 86% of people will hesitate to purchase from a business that has negative reviews. Not to be confused with perfect reviews. Is anyone in here suspicious of 5 in a row perfect reviews from Jim S., Bill Y., Kelly N., okay? People don't expect perfection. They expect reality, but you can't have a lot of bad reviews either, okay? And 88% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. Review sites have become talking to your neighbor across the fence. That's what people look at, and they consider that a trusted source.
I have a personal question. I have 2 reviews from Google.
Okay.
5-star, one is 1 star. The 1-star person never bought from us.
Yeah.
It is, et cetera. And I've sent Google emails saying, can we clean this up?
And it's hard to do. And you can do that, and Google will sometimes take off an unjust review. My best advice to you is get 5-star reviews to cover it up. You know, when you do something right, ask the people to do a review. Say, look, if we've done a good job for you, please do a review for us. Encourage them to do it. My guess is you'll be forgiven if there's one bad one and a bunch of good ones in there that look real. You can get them removed. It's hard to do. You're better off just trying to bury them with good ones. Yeah, it could be a competitor, and you can, yeah, you can try and make a case with Google, and again, oftentimes they'll do it, but oftentimes they're going to ignore you because they have other things to do. So the best advice I can give you, the most sound advice is, you're doing a good job. Ask people that you've helped to put a good review on for you.
My other way is I use Target Bay, and everything is 5-star.
Okay.
Target Bay, but Google just has those 2 reviews.
Yeah, I know, and unfortunately, a lot of people look at Google too. So I would say, I target it now, say, look, if you like what we're doing here, please go to Google and give me a good review. I work on word of mouth like a lot of people do. Peter? No? Okay. Kelly is going to walk us through tracking.
about the moving the microphones is just make sure that when people are recording us that we can actually hear it in the recording. So tracking and measuring, everybody gets to that point where they say, okay, well, I'm doing SEO or I've tried SEO, but how do I tell if it's working, right? And that's where if you aren't measuring it, you don't know whether it's working. So first things first, are you doing things right? And this is where we get into what we call execution metrics. So are you doing the SEO tasks that are going on correctly? And that's where you're going to start looking at metrics like organic traffic, like your backlinks, like referral traffic from your inbound links, and keyword performance. And as Chris mentioned earlier, keywords, it's not just about ranking number one. It's, well, what are you ranking for? And also, even if you rank number 3 and you're getting a ton of traffic and you're getting a ton of clicks from something that's super relevant for your business, that can be better than ranking number 1 for a keyword that doesn't really matter and isn't really driving business for you. So are you doing things right? That's going to help make sure that everybody in your business is kind of moving in the same direction versus moving in a ton of different directions and saying, well, I think we should be doing this with our SEO versus this with our SEO. Next, you dig in a little deeper and say, okay, now that we know that we're executing things correctly, are those actually the right things for us? Are those helping to drive real results for our business? And that's when you're going to start to look at conversion metrics, things like lead generation, lead quality, whether people are converting, meaning filling out forms or picking up the phone and calling you on your website. And are they generating revenue? For some of us, that's easy, especially if you sell products online. It becomes easy to tell whether somebody's coming onto your website and buying something. For the rest of us, it might not be, but you can look at how are you converting customers over time? Are more people who fill out a form on your website becoming customers later down the road? So estimating your revenue that way. So that's going to make sure not only that you're moving in the same direction, but that you're moving in the right direction. So how then do you find all of these metrics? And that's where the tools come in. The first tool and the most obvious tool is Google Analytics. So this is a free tool from Google. All of these that we're going to be talking about here in the next couple minutes are free tools. And if you don't have them, you should absolutely get them installed on your website. So if you need help installing Google Analytics on your website, let us know and we're happy to help you. How many people have Google Analytics or have looked at their Google Analytics? Okay, a good percentage, which is great. So Google Analytics provides a ton of information and it can get kind of overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, there are so many reports and what do I look at? So where I would start, if you only look at one thing, it's called the channels report. And I know this is small, it's a little hard to look at, but under acquisition and channels in the back end of Google Analytics, you'll get this list of where's my traffic coming from. And you can tell in this report whether you're getting your website traffic from organic search, which is people coming to your site from a search engine like Google or like Bing, from people coming directly, meaning somebody typing your web address directly into their browser bar, or whether they're coming from other sources like social media or paid ads or referral sites, so other people who are linking back to your website. When you're talking about SEO, that organic search is going to be your most important thing, and then referral traffic is also going to tell you how many backlinks you're getting and who's linking to you and driving traffic. Next thing you want to look at is Google Search Console. So this is another free Google tool that's really designed more for that SEO side of things. And it's actually going to tell you what keywords people are using and what search terms they're using in order to find your site. So years ago in Google Analytics, you'll see most of your traffic coming through this thing called not provided because Google took away all of that keyword information. Some of it you get back here in Google Search Console. So you can tell what keywords somebody is using, and also what pages people are landing on when they use different searches. So it's a really good way to figure out what pages are really doing well and ranking well on your site, and what pages maybe aren't doing so well and could use a little bit more attention. And finally, Google My Business. Again, if you have a local business, if you're looking for local customers, Google My Business is incredibly important. Again, we can help you get set up if you're not. But this has a couple of really nice and simple to understand analytics going on. It'll show you this little wheel here is who's coming to your site directly versus discovering you for the first time. So it's going to show you who's typing in your business name or something very, very close to your business name versus who's typing in a keyword related to your business. So take Doug's Tree Service, for example, right? Who's typing in Doug's Tree Service in order to find them online versus who's typing in tree removal or tree removal services, right? And it'll also give you an indication of who's visiting your website from that little Google listing, who is requesting directions. So if you have a physical store location, who is typing in something in Google and then requesting directions to your location. And lastly, who's calling you, picking up the phone from a Google search and calling you. All right, and Chris is going to take over to tell us, is SEO once and done?
No. We're in the home stretch, everybody. Thank you.
And we've got a question there.
Okay. Question.
How does Google know if it's resolved?
By specific tracking numbers. They know what your phone number is, and they know whether or not from that page someone has clicked to call. It's a click to call feature. Click to call feature. Okay. Yep. So great question. And we try and do, as a marketing company, we try and do tracking on everything we do. We try and do unique tracking numbers. We have specific calls to action, unique codes, anything where we know what people are doing. Because ultimately, people don't pay us to do stuff. They pay us to get results. So we have to try and track everything we can. But great question. Okay. Home stretch. So is SEO once and done? No, that's nonsense. And I'm going to use the analogy of, and some of you that know me know that I've used this before. SEO and marketing in general is like going to the gym. You decide, hey, look, I'm going to get in shape. And what can happen is you can't go to the gym a couple times and say, it didn't work. Look at my stomach. I've been to the gym 7 times and I still have a big belly, all right? If you're going to do SEO, you have to do it consistently, and you have to do it with other things. And if you say, look, I'm going to do improvements to my marketing, I'm going to get a new website, is that going to help you? Absolutely. It's just like saying, I'm going to start going to the gym every day and I'm going to get on the treadmill. Is that going to help you? Yes. And then you say, look, I really want to get into shape, so I'm going to get on the treadmill and I'm going to lift weights for a half hour every night, 5 nights a week. Is that going to do better? Yes. And suddenly I'm going to start eating salads for lunch instead of big hoagies. Is that going to help? Yes. And everything you're doing helps to improve your overall health. It's the same thing with this. Build a great website, number 1. Start posting content to it regularly, number 2. Start doing local search. Get all your directory listings correct, Pam. Make sure all the information you have is correct. Start doing SEO. Start posting content. Start building links. Suddenly you're going from, I've done a couple things to help me feel better, to, oh my gosh, I'm really getting in shape. It works the same way. And we talk about marketing, you can't just do it once in a while. And you can't just keep doing what you've always done. SEO is constantly changing. If you are an expert today, like if we all of us, me, Kelly, Danielle, and Stephanie, just say, we're brilliant. We know everything there is to know about SEO. And we keep doing it that way. And we refuse to learn other things and we live in a vacuum. What's going to happen 90 days from now? What's going to happen 6 months from now? A year from now? What we've been doing is going to fail to work as efficiently. SEO is changing. You've got to change with it. You've got to pay attention to it. You've got to continue to evolve. And other thing too, it's not a short-term game. When you talk about doing SEO, if someone says, we're going to do SEO and in 60 days you're going to own the market. No, it really doesn't work that way. SEO is organic, which means it builds over time. It takes time. You've got to invest months, a year and a half, 2 years, constantly get it going to get the best results from SEO. We tell people, don't expect to really see that needle move for at least 6 months. Sometimes faster, sometimes longer, but it's a long-term game. It's not a short-term game. Again, think about getting in shape. You can't get on the treadmill for a week and suddenly you're in shape. It doesn't work that way. Neither does marketing or SEO. And there's no magic formula. If someone says, I got it all figured out, no, they don't. It's about doing best practices consistently. It's about constantly evolving, constantly changing, adding different things in so that you're building a good lifestyle for marketing, just like you build a good lifestyle for health. Recap. SEO is critical for your business. If you want to be found online, you've got to do SEO. If you're not doing SEO, could you be found online? Possible. But luck should not be a business strategy. Good best practices, dedicated efforts are a good marketing strategy. Search engines are smarter than ever. They understand putting things in context, they understand intent, and they understand location. They know where you are. And good SEO involves keyword research and best practices for both on-page, meaning things on your website, and off-page, meaning things that are all involved in the universe that direct people to your website but don't live there. And small businesses need to build trust with search engines through local SEO. If you rely on local business, you've got to do a local SEO strategy. Google has free tools. A lot of the information that you need, you don't have to pay for. It's available to you for free. And don't listen to any SEO BS. Fact check. If you guys ever want to bounce an idea, I'm happy to do it for you. I'm happy to listen. And just beware, if somebody's offering you a quick fix, something simple, someone says that they have all the answers, someone that says, I guarantee results, they don't. They can guarantee to do certain work. They can guarantee you that if it doesn't work, you don't have to pay for it. They can guarantee you that they're going to track everything and show you what they're doing, but they can't guarantee results. It just doesn't work that way. There's too many things out of control.